work that you've done. Our next speaker is Susan Reed, the District Attorney from Bexar County, and really delighted to have her with us today. She is the first woman to be elected in that position, and before that she served for 12 years as a District Court Judge at the 144th District Court in Bexar County. She has a degree from the University of Texas School of Law. Prior to that was raised in San Antonio, went to Alamo Heights High School, and we are grateful for her for the work she does day in and day out to seek justice in Bexar County, and appreciate her being with us today.
Thank you.
Good afternoon. Let me ask you, how many of my audience are from Texas? Oh, well, there we go. We don't have a lot of how many from out of state? Okay, my condolences. You gotta live in Texas. And you gotta, I think, live in San Antonio. But I'm listening to this, and I've got to tell you, I have a lot of very strong feelings about rehabilitation and the justice system. You know, I was an assistant DA for 8 years. As Mark was telling you, I was a district court judge for 12 with a criminal preference. And then now I've been district attorney for 10 years. And I probably believe most of my philosophies about incarceration have come from my time as a district judge. Because I've seen a lot of people for whom your rehabilitation issues work, and then I've seen those that don't. I've seen the harm and the terrible agony that is caused by violent crime, and quite frankly, I am not the least bit interested in their rehabilitation. You can either agree with me or not agree, but I really don't care about those people because of what of the real sorrow that they inflict on a lot of people. And I just don't think their characters are changeable. I don't think sex offenders are changeable. Don't tell me about those penal monitors or whatever they are. The first time I ever heard that in a courtroom, I almost fell out of my chair to think that that was a reason to grant somebody asking a probation from a jury on that kind of stuff. I was just amazed. Because I don't believe in that stuff. I just don't. But I will tell you my experience in relation to drugs and how I feel about a lot of that. When I was on the bench, we had in Bexar County what we call a drug court. And essentially the district judges, there were 9 of us, were asked to just feed drug cases into this court, and it was going to be staffed by a visiting judge, and it really essentially became a plea mill. And then the probation was supposed to have been left in that court. And what I found, I watched it for a while, and I wasn't real happy with even the plea bargains coming out of it, but I was sending the cases. And so finally, I started pulling some of the probation cases, and I'd see somebody in there who showed up for their probation interview with 12 dirty urines. Well, give me a break. You know, nothing was done. They weren't brought to court. They didn't see the judge. They had absolutely no accountability. So, being the hard-nosed that I can be, I said, I won't send any more cases to this drug court. I'm going to do this. So I established a policy in my court where I kept all my drug cases, I put people on probation, and I'd say, look, this is the deal. You're going to report, and depending, some of them were reporting weekly, some of them monthly, at least monthly. You're going to have the urinalysis, and you show up dirty once, there's going to be a sanction. Now, I established a level of graduated sanctions because we had graduated sanctions at that time, and I was very much in favor of that. I used it, and I would say, okay, you're first dirty, you're going to spend 5 days in jail. you're second. 3 times you're out. That's it. Don't want to deal with you anymore. But we'd be very upfront about it. We'd tell them. Then if I got to the 3 times, I would sign them up and send them to the safety. And unfortunately, I was getting back, oh, safety's overcrowded. A lot of times, it was a 6-month waiting list. That's no joke. And then when you have counties, now as DA, I'm saying there's a real economic issue here, because are you putting the burden on the county to do it, or is the state going to assume it? Because they were leaving the people in the counties. I got our probation office to establish a boot camp. We established a drug center where there was in-residence 30-day programs that we used quite a bit. We established restitution centers. We did all of that. But I would send them to SafeP, and that was, I thought, a good program. I went down, I walked those halls, I actually toured a SafeP unit and saw what they were doing in their rehabilitation. And so I very much believe that there's some people that you're going to be able to rehabilitate, and there's just some you're just not. And a lot of our violent crimes are people who are on drug offenses. That's why they're committing them. And then they shoot somebody at a 7-Eleven or whatever we call it now, Valero, because they want money for their drugs. And they burglarize, and they rob, and they do all of that kind of stuff. And so to be able to attack the drug issue is huge, but it really requires commitment. It requires commitment on the part of your judiciary to begin with. Now, I believe in drug courts. I think that's a good thing. But don't give me a drug court and put all the cases in there and then have the experience that I saw where there is no supervision. You know, that judge has got to be riding this guy's ass the whole time. That's essentially what it is. There is no question in my mind. And I think I'm right. I will tell you that I can't tell you the number of times I have had someone stop me on the street. And they will say to me, thank you, you sent me to prison. Or thank you, you were tough on me. And had you not been that way, I never would have been rehabilitated. And it happens quite often because it's been a long time since a lot of these people are out and they're working in the system, and they've come around to that. But I've actually seen this from the practitioner. I'm not the legislature who you know is looking at numbers or crunching numbers. I'm the one who has been there, and that's Tony, and I've known Tony for a long time and love Tony. But you know, I've seen it, and it's like I'm a parent. With your children, I personally believe you got to set down rules, and that's it. And we have laws, and now these people have broken their laws. There has got to be a consequence. And what the legislature has to do, for anybody who's interested, is that they have got to support those with dollars. They've got to give their probation departments the amount of money. They can't expect the counties to pick up all of it either. So when you start changing things, and don't make mandatory probations. You know, I think one of the worst things was that darn law that came into effect where you had to give everybody probation who got a drug offense. I was appalled. Because that's like, give them a free ride. You don't have to look at their background. It doesn't matter what the background is. That was a terrible law. At the time, it was there to deal with the overcrowding. So a lot of good intentions end up with bad results because they think, well, we're dealing with the overcrowding, but it's just going to lead to more violence and more crime. So I've had my say. Thank you for listening to me. I appreciate it.